Hope you're all doing okay. All right, make sure you have just a bit of hydration with you. Also, before I start every single class, I want to make sure everyone's got clear nasal passages. So if you're a little bit stuffy, even a titch, or if you haven't given your nose a little bit of a blow today, go ahead and do that. Let's start off. You can't breathe if your nose is all plugged up, so give your nose a little bit of a tissue love. Get rid of all the stuff. And then we'll get ready to start. Nasal breathing, nasal breathing. I know we're talking about golf, but nasal breathing is just about life. If you find yourself breathing like with your shoulders moving a bit, or if you're moving into your chest and with your mouth open, you've become a mouth breather, and you want to start considering changing that into nasal breathing. There's all kinds of good stuff online to look at for nasal breathing. It's super important just for lots and lots of different things, all the different filtration, if you will. Think about a car and the filter that all these cars have in it. Well, the nose is exactly the same thing for our human body. It filters everything as it comes in, and the mouth does not do that. Anyway, a whole bunch of other stuff as well. What I found out something really cool. When you breathe in and out through the nose, the brain actually opens and closes the opening of the nasal vessels, depending on what the brain needs, on what side of the brain is requiring more oxygen. So this stuff is going on inside the nose, not in the mouth. Anyway, so that's some really important stuff about nasal breathing. All right, again, no shoes if you can today. I'm on a yoga mat. You can be anywhere you like, just as not as long as it's not a slippery surface. And then we're just going to move it a little bit. Lift your heels, lift your toes, move side to side, a little bit of circle here, and try and get into a position where you feel really comfortably, really, like when you stand on the beach and on the sand and kind of press your toes into the floor or into the ground. It feels really, really good. Just move your feet around a little bit like you're bearing or rooting down into the floor. Good stuff. Arms by your side, lift the shoulders up nice and high. We're going to go through some easy body movements. Everyone, just make sure you're muted, please. Brandon, I think you may not be, so everyone mute. Lift your shoulders up and draw the head down. So you get into this crunchy position. Now take a breath into your belly area, big breath, and lower the shoulders down. Okay, some easy body movements. Let's see how we feel. Keep the arms down. Turn your head to the side. Now really turn your head quite a bit. You want to feel the stretching on the open side here, the left side. So keep turning your head, keep your shoulders down, come back through center, and just slowly turn your head and peek past the left shoulder. Keep on going. Make your right eye dominant as you look past the left shoulder. Ooh, really stretch it out. Come back through center, lift the head up. Nice and high, lips together. And then look forward and down. Tuck your chin to your chest. Come on, right back up again. We're going to turn the head to the right side. Now you're going to drop the ear to the shoulder as you gradually look and exaggerate this movement and peeking up to the ceiling. So I'm really turning my head, dropping the ear, sending the head back a bit, and I'm looking up. Try and create a full range of motion as you turn your head and go to the other side. We're going to do about 2 or 3 of these, really slow, half speed, will allow you to really get into your range of motion. We want to have really fluid muscles here as we move the head all around. And you might feel a little crunchy crunch, and that's okay. When I first started doing this, it felt kind of odd. I felt a lot of crunching noises, and then they eventually go away. Okay, so that's 3 times there. Now I'm going to go back to neutral, turn the head to the left side. And as far as you can go, shoulders stay down. Now drop the ear to the shoulder as you peek up. Really stretch out the right side now. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Look up and around to the other side. Big sweeping circular motion all the way around. Good stuff, you guys. And probably 2, 3 times, also good. And one more back to center position. Okay, I'm going to show you how to stretch out your muscles on the neck a little bit more. This is really important. We want to have as much range of motion in our head independent of the torso. So we want to be able to create all these movements. It's really important, especially when you're turning the rib cage around and want to keep your head forward. Okay, really important stuff here. So what I'm going to do is take the right arm off to the side here, make a fist and press out so you keep the elbow straight. A little bit of leverage in this position. Then I'm going to turn the head to the left side, hold on to the side of the head with the left hand, Now just gently give that a little bit of a tug. Take the right arm behind you a bit so you feel a nice stretch through the neck here. And now I'm going to look up, still holding and just giving a little bit of pressure. Up, up, up. Again, that arm can come behind you a little bit more if you like. And then look down. Really stretch this out. Drop your chin into your chest. Make sure you're breathing. Now look under the underarm. A little tuck, the head goes further. Now release all tension and then bring your head back up. And move that around a little bit. It should feel pretty good. I do this like 2, 3, 4 times a day, and sometimes more when I'm teaching it, but it's super good if you have tension in your neck. Left arm out, press with that fist. Now turn just the head independently, no rib cage movement. Hold, and now I'm going to hold on to the side of the head. Looking straight ahead, I just pull the head away from the shoulder. Take the left arm back, maybe just a titch more here. Do it very, very slowly and try not to exceed a 4 or 5 tension level if 10 is the most. All right, now I'm going to look up, apply a bit of tension. That feels good. And now I'm going to look down. I'm particularly tight on this side, so I'm just going to hold here for a little bit longer. It feels good for me. And I'm going to tuck my head as I look underneath the underarm on the right side. And gently release and come back to that neutral position. Okay, just move your head around, just do some freewheeling circles. Good stuff. Arms by your side. Bring the right hand onto the belly. Now take a couple of breaths in and out. And the reason your hand is here is because when you're inhaling, you want the abdominal area to distend if you can. So see if that's happening. When you breathe in, does your chest move forward or does that belly move forward? You can even bring your left hand onto the chest area just to feel what's moving here. And you want the belly to fill first, and then the chest can fill after, and then they both descend. This takes a bit of work, especially if you've over time have changed and become a bit of a chest breather. Okay, and then arms down by the side. Good stuff, you guys. Lift the shoulders up nice and high again. And this time, draw the shoulders back. We're going to do some circles here. So I'm going to send the shoulders back, drop them down, and then forward and back. Try not to move the ribs at all if possible. Just some easy movements of the shoulders. And both the shoulders and hips, those body joints are, of course, the rotational circular type movements. And that's what we're just trying to tap into. Full range of motion. All right, then you stop, lift the shoulders right back up again. This time you go forward, down, and back. If you can really capture a full range of motion like this in your shoulders, then it's good after a while to start adding some weights when you're doing this for weight resistance and weight training. So first range of motion, and then we strengthen it up. Good stuff, and then we let that go. All right, a bit more range of motion work. Arms go straight up, and I'm going to cross, come out and open, and then cross again. Notice I'm doing it very slowly. I'm trying to go through full range of motion, so it's not just a back and forth. It's full range of motion with body control and body strength. Side to side. And then bring your arms down. If you're not quite sure what the range of motion is in that lateral movement, let's give it a shot. You're going to lift the right arm up. And just get the left arm behind you for a bit. What I want to do is just pull the arm across my body. Now this is, if I go any further, I actually can't because I'll turn. So I don't want to turn. I want to go as far as I can go. And then with the other arm, see if I can pull it in for a bit more. And typically we will have a bit more movement. So look at all that movement that I just picked up. Another 2 inches that I don't have muscle strength to work through. So now I'm just going to stretch this out. Feels really good. And then release, let that go. And do the other side. Left arm up. You're going to drag it across. See how far you can go without actually turning the rib cage. So we just turn or move the arm over. And then squeeze. And there it goes. I've got, like lots of room. And excuse me, that's when the stretch feels really good. So a little bit of additional space here. getting into the shoulder. Okay, and then you're going to bring the arms down. Let's move through the fingers a bit. Lift the arms. Open and close your fingers. Make a fist. Open and close the fist. I started doing this in a class once. The teacher said, just do this. It's really simple. When we got to about the 5-minute mark, I thought I was going to die. We're not going to go that far. Don't worry. Bring your hands together. It's like holding a glass of water. How much does it weigh? Well, ask me 3 hours from now. Okay, bring the elbows in. And let's just do some slow figure 8 circles with our wrists. Isolation, gang, is the key here. You want to be able to isolate body parts. Body parts that work really effectively and efficiently independently then really work well together. And we've got hundreds of muscles and bones that are moving through a golf swing that are required to basically coordinate and do all these crazy movements all at the same time, pretty much. Okay, other direction, please. The ability for our brain to communicate with our body and muscles through the nervous system is done through movement classes like this, where we do stuff nice and slow, seemingly simple movements. Really important for brain-body connection. All right, neutral position, lift the elbow up. And what I mean is, okay, I'm going to tell you to do a wave. Okay, what does that mean? Well, it's something like this. Your body's got to figure out how to move your arms, do it slow. You guys are going too fast. Slow it down, everything in slow motion. You can't do it quickly and get the technique, so you got to go slow. All right, and you're going to stop, and then you're going to go in the other direction. And just notice if there's any difference between how that feels. Isolate the arms, no other movement. If you're moving around, I can't see you guys, so I'm just kind of talking in thin air here. I'm not saying you're doing any of this, but try not to move your body around, okay? And then just release it, let it go, shake it out a bit. We're going to do just a little rotator cuff movement just to see what the rotator cuff feels like today. So you're going to lift the arms up and then bend the elbows. Hands are straight. Hands are in line, right? Everything is a nice line. Hands are not doing any of this. Keep your hands in this line as you turn the arms down, moving from the shoulder. Again, the tendency here is to do this. Don't do that, just stay like that. Keep your chest nice and straight and broad, and then open up in the other direction. So no flaring of the rib cage, just the arms. How far can you go? This is one of the ways I rehabbed a really bad arthritic shoulder. Just this type of movement, slowly. Very conscious movement, find range of motion, and eventually you can even put some weights into this stuff. It's really good. And if we don't have the range of motion for whatever reason, we try and get it. And if we have mechanical problems, then that's a different story. But generally, for most of us, it's just tight muscle. Opposite arm. Try and keep those elbows in line if you can. Good stuff. And do the last one, and then shake it out and let it go. I'm going to have a little sip of water. I'm kind of dry where I am, so go ahead, guys. If you ever need water, just go ahead and take it, okay? All right. Let's do a little bit of spinal movement now. Spine, nice long thing and a bit of a curve to it, all kinds of segments. Same thing, the spinal segments tend to lock up. So we move our body in chunks versus like a snake. Should be able to move like a snake. So what we're going to do is just arms by the side. We're going to essentially just at the hip crease, lean over, but I'm going to do it like a rag doll. So I'm just going to drop my head, shoulders forward, get heavy, and try and control this descent as I come down to the floor. I'm going to keep my legs straight because I can. If you need to bend your knees, that's fine too. Eventually, you're going to try and straighten them out though. And then you come down, touch the floor. Get a nice stretch. And then the controlled fashion, stay like a rag doll, but come on up. 1 inch at a time. This is checking your core control. Slowly come up, real slow. Slower than you'd like. Come on up. Keep your chin tucked into your chest. Remember ragdoll. Now, when the shoulders lift, then you can look straight, and then you lift your head straight up, full controlled motion. And then you come forward, you tuck your chin into your chest, and then you just keep rolling and tucking yourself forward as you come back down to the floor. Again, slower than you like. Full control. Challenge yourself to go slow. Breathe as you're going in and out. Stretch out the muscle tissue, particularly in the back of the legs and lower back here. Drop the head down and then come on right back up. Arms just dangling here, heavy, chin tucked into chest. I'm using core muscles and back muscles to pull me up. And then come on up, shoulders back, look straight, then look up. And back to neutral position. Okay, good stuff, you guys. Next position, a little bit of a pelvic tilt. Also super important. We find that in a lot of the assessments that we've been doing, the pelvic tilt tends to be a challenge for a lot of us. It's only because all the musculature in this area is tight. So if it's tight, when we ask to do these movements, it's nearly impossible to do. So we're just going to try get a little bit of the intention of the movement, and then we'll work on some of the strengthening and stretching stuff afterwards. So what I'm going to do, and we do this on the floor or standing, there's several different ways of doing it. In yoga, it's called cat-cow. Hands just rest onto the lap, very little weight here, so I'm not dumping down. Again, core, my core is holding me here. My hands are just kind of resting here, otherwise the hands can come off quite easily. Now I'm going to look forward, shoulders back and down, and then I'm going to arch my back. So it's kind of an uncomfortable position here, and I'm going to look up. And then I'm going to tuck my chin into my chest, and then rolling, rounding the spine, and just tucking that tailbone under. That action happens because I'm contracting the abdominal muscles. And then I release that, belly soft, shoulders back and down, look up. And then again, you're going to tuck in, strengthen up, come back, belly tight, and move. So it's an anterior-posterior tilt. So depending on where you are with this, you can go a little bit quicker or try and go slower if you can't quite manage the movement. And if you want to do pelvis only without the head for now, then you can just do pelvis only. The head is looking forward, and I'm just tucking the tailbone under for the posterior tilt and then releasing it for the forward anterior tilt, back and forth a few times. This in itself is a core activation, core muscle activation. And last one, you guys, nice big tuck and stand up. All right, really good stuff. Now, depending on our body types, some of us have a bit more of a curve, some of us have a bit less of a curve. So we want to, you know, especially when we want to pay attention to this stuff. If our abdominal area, if the front chain of the body is a little bit weaker than the back, which for many of us it is, especially if we're carrying a little bit of extra cushioning in the front, what'll happen when you start to tip over, if you don't have the strength, then all this stuff is going to go forward. And then it creates the arch in the back. And when you try and swing the golf club, there's so much stuff out of alignment in the back that it's going to hurt a ton. So the intention is that when you are like this, you are able to actually tuck a little bit. So you created this contraction and you pull it in. And that strength will allow the spine to straighten. And then when you are turning and creating a rotation, you're doing it on a straight spine, not on a wonky, kind of weirded out spine. Okay, good stuff. All right, take the legs a little bit wider, feet a little bit wider. We're just going to rock side to side. Bring your hands to your waist just for hand placement. Now again, slow and roll off the foot so you're onto the edges of both feet. Have a look at mine, you'll see what I'm doing. I'm trying to figure out and understand what this actually feels like because I'm going to change it in a second, okay? So I'm just feeling this out, noticing whether it's stable or not, how much control I have. Still creating this lateral movement, side to side. This is a movement that we also require in the golf swing, so we need to have this range of motion. Now come flat-footed, and then we do the same. But this time I'm staying flat. So now I have range of motion in the ankles to also create the same movement. and the hips, of course the knees, but no upper body movement, okay? And then back to center position. Now I'm just going to do some circles. Bend your knees a little bit. The intention is to create a full circular movement from the hip space. Try and keep the weight of the foot fairly equal if you can. And make a big circle. Again, we don't want to use leverage or momentum here, just muscle strength, body muscle strength. Good stuff. Nice big circles, you guys. And then we'll go in the other direction now. Other direction. Good stuff. And now we'll come back to a neutral position. Okay, lift your heels. Both heels go up. Notice in this position, do your heels go out to the sides? Or can you keep them fairly neutral? Good exercise here. If you're finding this a challenge, when they lift, if the heels go out, is try and place a tennis ball between your heels, press the ball in, and then go up and down. Super good for lower leg muscles. All right, now flat-footed, you're going to lift your toes up. All 10 toes go up. All 10 toes up. Now try and put the just 2 outer pinky toes down. Just those guys. I have a real challenge with this. Then the 4th toe on each foot. Now the middle toe. Now the 2nd toe. Now it should just be the big toes up. And put the big toes down. Okay, this time lift your big toes up. Just the big toe. On both, on one on each foot, right? Then the 2nd. And the 3rd. Then the 4th. It's like trying to do one of those Spock moves. And then the 5th. Okay, and then release all the toes down. Move it around a little bit. Okay, good stuff. Now let's get a little bit of length to the connective tissue of the foot. I like this movement quite a bit. It's awkward for some of us, but let's give it a shot. Lift your heel up. Turn your toes under, so it's like you're cracking your knuckles in your hand. A little bit, just a bit of pressure, especially if you've got arthritic toes like I do, or if you've had surgery or something like that. Just a very light turning over. And if you're okay with it, put a little bit of weight into it. You might hear the toes crunch, a little knuckle crunching. Okay, and then take that pressure off, move the toes around a little bit, and then do the other side. Just check that out. So a little bit of pressure here. And it's also very common for this to cramp up and then release that pressure altogether. Okay, this time we're going to do a little bit of rolling movement. And what we do is we lift the heel up, come off to the side of the foot and then in. So always having contact with the foot onto the floor. I'm just rolling, if you will, trying to create a circular movement going from the outside of the foot to the heel to the inside of the foot and then all the way around in this circular movement. And it's really coming from the hip. Of course, the knees kick in, so do the ankles, but it's the full leg trying to create this movement. Try and make it really big, 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 big. So you got to do it slow. Same thing, slow, controlled. Okay, now this time I'm going to go in, back, and around in the other direction. And when you challenge yourself to go slowly, you can find this bigger scooping range of motion. That's the only way to kind of detect how the, you know, if you're flying through it, you can't, it's like missing a ramp on the highway. Go too fast, you'll miss it. So slow. And we need to be able to articulate our bodies as best as we can. So we're just discovering some new space here. Okay, now I'm going to do the other side. So I'm going to, again, lift the heel up, roll to the outside, back, in, forward. Okay, good stuff. Back and forth. Few times, and I do encourage you to do this quite a bit, like daily. This is really your machine. This is the focus of attention in a golf game, not so much the equipment. Okay, other direction. So our bodies need to be able to do as much of this stuff, the best that we can, right? Everybody's hype is different, so it's all totally cool. It's just, you know, being shown some of the movements, and then you play with it to try and tap into your full range of motion. It'll improve not just the game, but your overall movement, energy, and your fatigue will go away, I promise, if you do a lot of this stuff, especially if you put cardio into it as well. Okay, good stuff, gang. All right, we're gonna move on, have a little sip of water. Okay, we're going to work a little bit of a core exercise today, and I'm going to show you the proper ways of strengthening our core. We've done this before. We're going to do it again. It's really important to repeat, repeat, repeat. Essentially, our core muscles are what keep us upright. We all have core strength. We all have core muscles. If you did not, you would fall over and collapse. Our core keeps us up. The challenge is when we ask our bodies to do more than to just keep ourselves up. Do something, go swimming, go hiking, swing a golf club. Any of these things are much more than just standing upright. So we have to train our bodies so they can adapt to handle whatever it is that we ask it to do as much as we can. However much you put in, you'll get that much back. It's exactly how it works. So the way I've always taught these movement classes is starting from the foundation of our body, which is the core. Very similar, Brendan and I were talking, it's the analogy of building a house. You don't start with the bedrooms, you start with the foundation and a strong basement. That keeps everything upright. So that's what we're gonna work on today. We're gonna do some of it on the floor, and probably most of it, but we'll just check that out. Okay, and maybe before we do that, let's do a couple of stretches while we're here. Just get down onto the floor. Take your legs out wide and lift the arms up. Take a big breath as you look up, and let's hinge at the waist forward. See how far you can go. Come on forward. If you want to hold on to your feet, that's okay. I'm trying not to collapse and to round my spine too much. That affects how I breathe. So I'm trying to keep my shoulders back and hinge forward with a straight spine. Holding on to the legs is fine. And then just stay here for about 30 seconds, maybe 45 seconds, trying to get the chest a little closer to the floor. So if you're trying to avoid any points of real heavy tension, this shouldn't be much more than a 5 or 6 out of 10, being the most. It should feel pretty good. We'll do a bit of a rotation as well. Come on up. Turn the face to the right, and then just hold on to the outside of the left leg here, and then right arm can go behind you. Just get a bit of a twist in this position. Slight rotation. Now you're going to come up. So we're just going to start this off slowly. Go to the other side, bend forward and turn to the side. Reach. So we are both leaning forward and turning at the same time. Are you going to come back up? This time, the right leg is going to go over to the left side. Right leg to the left side. Now I'm going to hinge forward and hold on to the right foot with the left arm. Tuck the right arm behind me, pull the shoulder back, and then look up. A bit of a twisting rotation. So same thing happening here. I am leaning forward. One body range motion. I'm also rotating another, and I'm dropping my left shoulder a bit. Full range of motion here as I wring my body out, if you will, a bit. A bit longer, another 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Now, I'm not just holding here, I'm continuously and energetically moving. I am turning my rib cage as I lean forward. So it's very active. I stop at about the 5 out of 10 tension level, so I'm not really overcooking it here, but I'm certainly feeling the tension. All right, now come on up. So I'm going to turn the shoulders to the left, lean forward again, hold on to the outside of the left leg with the right hand. Left arm tucks behind, and again, pull your left shoulder back. Look past the left shoulder, even up to the ceiling. Make sure you're breathing. And contracting abdominal muscles works really well here as well to create a nice rotation. Think about bringing out a dishcloth. Mid-body is kind of in that position now. And come on up to neutral. Good stuff, everyone. And we're going to switch. You're going to take both legs to the right. Both legs to the right. Okay? And this time you're going to hinge forward and returning this way. We're going to go this way as I reach, and right arm back, rotate. Just a little bit of a different range of motion here. I need you to mute, please. Someone's not muted. It's a little scratchy, if you don't mind. Keep turning. So right shoulder's coming back. I'm looking up. And now gently release it. Neutral position. I'm going to turn the other way, reach forward. Right hand to the outside of the left leg, and again, turn in the other direction with the legs going to the right. And some of these are intentionally made to be awkward. These are awkward movements that we're trying to normalize a bit by doing them. So the more awkward movements we do, the more we normalize them, then our bodies get used to these funky movements, and then we can have some fun as we do the stuff that we want to do. All right, come on up, neutral position, good stuff. Now we're going to lie down, and I'm going to show you guys how to activate core muscles because they work in many, many different layers. Now, if you have not done any abdominal type work in the last little while, then just go really easy. Concern yourself more about technique than actually doing like a lot of them. Get the technique down, engage the movement so you feel it, but keep it at a lower level. Otherwise, you may feel quite a discomfort, excuse me, in the next couple of days. Okay, so if you don't do this and you haven't done them, just be cautious of the movement. Okay, when we go down, the first thing that we want to do is get this pelvic tilt thing figured out. So first off, put your legs straight out. The legs are straight. Now, for most of us, there should be some space in the lower back. Cool, right? Now, I want you to have the sensation of getting the lower back to the floor. So bend the knees, bring your feet flat. And then you should notice a bit of a movement in the pelvis that brings the tailbone closer, or the lower back a bit closer to the floor. If you haven't quite got it there, then do it again. Just straighten the legs out. Notice how the arch comes in when you straighten the legs out. And when you bend the knees, the arch goes away. That's the pelvic tilt movement. So the pelvis is tilting to create and allow that movement. We want to be able to control that movement. So from this position with the knees bent, I'm going to arch my back and then flatten it out. So I'm going to arch my back here, contract the abdominal muscles, so pull in the front here, and then contract. It's like bringing the rib cage closer to the pelvis. That's the crunching action. I need you to mute, guys. Someone's online still, please mute. Tuck and tilt. Now keep the tailbone down onto the floor and hold it there. You should feel this in the front. The abdominal muscles should be contracting here and quite deeply. So it's not even the abs on the top, it's deep inside. That's what creates this pelvic movement. Okay, so we're gonna hold here. 30 seconds. So I'm not allowing, if someone was trying to stick their hand underneath my lower back, I would not allow it. Okay, that's the movement here. Keep sucking your belly tight. So think about pulling your navel, your belly button back towards your spine. You ever seen that picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger where he sucks his gut in? It's like that. It's called a vacuum in bodybuilding. Think about a vacuum being sucked in and then that lower back flat onto the floor. Another 10 seconds. I'm still contracting here and I can feel it really deep. And now I'm going to release it and let it go. Ooh, I move the legs around a little bit, side to side. That is deep, deep, deep core muscles engaging to create that pelvic tilt movement. Now we're going to incorporate a bit more to incorporate other muscle groups as well. Okay, this time the hands come behind the head. You've all done this, and your elbows to the side. Now, guys, don't bring the elbows forward. There's no need, and try not to crank your head forward. Try and keep the distance. If you make a fist and stick it underneath your chin, and keep that space between your chin and your chest, okay? Now, get the back close down onto the floor. So we're going to crunch that belly. Keep your lower back onto the floor and lift now the shoulders off the floor. Crunch, and then lower, and then lift, and then lower. The lower back stays flat onto the floor the whole time. This is the abdominal, the top abdominal area working, top of your six pack. So we're going to give you a three. I'll give you a 3-pack. And you do about 40 seconds of these. Crunch, inhale down, exhale up, inhale down, exhale up. The technique is for the lower back to stay on the floor, shoulders lift, elbows heavy. Keep looking up. And another 5, 4, 3, 2, and last one. And now you're going to hold this one for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Move the legs side to side. All right, I'm just going to check the electronics, guys. Someone's not muted, and it's creating a bit of a thing. So 1 sec. Brendan, please mute. Who else? Jamie, please mute. Lori, please mute. Sorry, guys. All right. Just a lot of, that'll come up on the recording, so I wanted to keep that off. Okay. Next movement, now we're working the front, now we're going to work the sides, and I'm going to show you. So what we do is we work the top of the 6-pack, that 3-pack on the top. We're going to work the sides, and then we're going to work the 3-pack on the bottom. The sides. Now, a lot of you have seen the, you know, those bicycles. Those are great. I like those. Those are pretty good. But to get started, we're going to do something a little bit different. You're going to take the right leg straight and the left, bend the left knee. Left arm by your side here with the hand down. Take the right arm and right hand behind you, and then turn and pull the knee up for a little crunch. Lie back down, come back up, crunch, crunch, elbow to knee. Try and bring the knee in as much as the elbow up. It's an exhale when you bring the knee to touch the elbow. Inhale to lie down, and I'm not lying down fully. I'm staying in a point of tension the whole time, and my lower back onto the floor, and I'm crunching to the side. I'm going to do another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one. Hold it there for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release it. Bring both knees up and into your chest. Just rock your body weight a little bit side to side. Also good to drop the legs from side to side. Okay, switching to the other side. The left leg straight, right knee bends, right arm off to the side with the left arm up. So I'm going to lift the shoulders up and then turn and crunch to the side. Come back and then crunch. And this, so typically this would be about 40 to 45 seconds. We do however many we can, full range of motion, really crunch that belly tight. So we're building some strength into some of those earlier movements that we were doing. Let's go 10 more. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and last one. Hold that for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and come down. Catch your breath, we'll reset. Drop your knees from side to side if that feels good. Okay. The next movement is the full core engagement here, where what we do is we're going to have both legs. Well, you can keep them straight, or how should we do it? Let's do it this way, a little bit bent. Totally fine. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift the shoulders up. So the shoulders stay up the whole time. Try and get to a point where the shoulder blades are lifted. So you're feeling that right here. And then you're going to drop the left knee in and then switch, right knee in, and then switch. Keep the shoulders lifting all the time. So the chest is going up and the shoulders are leaving the floor. And then you bring one leg in at a time. You can even straighten that leg out. These are called seal kicks in Pilates. So my abs are on this whole time. You cannot get a hand underneath my lower back. I'm just moving my legs for additional resistance. Again, draw the knee in, one at a time, or straighten your legs out. Keep that space between the chin and the chest. Whew. And we go for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and last one, and drop down. Whew, catch your breath. Okay, by the way, core exercises can be done daily. These muscle groups, firstly, we don't overcook them like we do biceps and legs and other things. So you can do core exercises daily. It is so good for you. Your life will change when your core gets strong. All right, we worked I promised you the lower 6-pack. We're not going to leave you with just a 3-pack. You're going to get a 6-pack out of this. Let's do that. Now, to get the upper 6-pack engaged, we lifted the shoulders were coming up, right? That works this top part. This time, we need to get the pelvis up to work the lower part. So I'm going to take the arms to the side, lift the legs up, and without momentum, as much as we can, okay, as much as we can, you guys, we're going to try and pull the knees back and lift the pelvis up. And then lower, straighten the legs a bit. Bring the legs in, lift the pelvis up. Notice how much strength or pressure you're putting into your hands and arms. Same thing applies. Try not to do too much. Eventually, your core will be so strong, you can just lift your arms up and then lift the pelvis up without the hands onto the floor. Inhale down, exhale up. So this is what you're shooting for. Arms up, core strength, lower abs. 10 more. 7, well, that was 8. Here comes 7. Woo, I find this one more challenging. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. Hold it up for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then bring the pelvis down. Oh, okay. Come on, sit up, guys, real quick. Brendan, I think you're still, I hear you, man.
I'm on mute on my side. It's so weird. I'm muted.
Okay. Okay. Whew, you guys feel that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really feel that a lot. Okay. We're going to do 2 more, then we're going to wrap things up. Good job, everyone. So I'm going to show you 2 more. And by the way, you can go back to these recordings so you can watch how we've done these. Technique is absolutely crucial. Do fewer of them. Get the technique down. Slowly work your way up at it. Core for me is one of the most challenging things to do because I don't like what it feels like when my muscles are in pain in my gut. I like it in my arms and legs. I don't like it here. So for me, it's challenging, but I do them. Because it feels really good, and it feels really good to be core strong. And once you have tapped into your core strength, you'll go, now I know what he was talking about. If you've never gotten there, Try and get there. It's really next level stuff. Okay, feels pretty good. This next movement is called high boat in yoga. We essentially sit and balance on our butt, bend our knees. Now, we try and challenge ourselves to get to a position where we can take the feet off the floor, maybe holding on to the legs, okay? So this can be position number one. You can also try and release the arms so that you're just crunching, pulling the knees up and sending the chest forward, maybe even extending one leg at a time. I find it very challenging to do that. But for now, we're just going to come forward and bring your feet down. Okay, bring your feet down. Hold on to the back of the legs, and then just extend one leg, little heel taps, little heel tap, heel tap, heel tap. Just for control, just so you can find that balance of sitting on the butt cheeks for now. Okay, now, both feet down. Take the arms to the side, and the feet are pressing down. So I'm not just kind of hanging out here. My feet are actively pushing down into the floor. And then I'm going to rock my weight back and forth. So what I'd like you to do is find your edge point. You're going to go back to where you go, oh my God, that's too much. And then you're going to come up, but don't roll your shoulders forward. Spine straight. Stay to a point where you can just stay with a straight spine. And this is your movement here. Try not to roll. Straight spine, shoulders down, away from the ears. Go back and forth. Back, forth. Challenge yourself to go back. Notice how far you can go back before the feet start to lift. And forth. Again, about 45 seconds of movement. 10 more seconds. 5 more. And last one. Good stuff. Whew. Quick break. All right. That works the entire front core chain. Now we're going to show you how to work the sides again, and then we're going to finish off. All right. Again, the feet are planted on the floor. Eventually, you're going to try and do this movement with the feet off the floor. But for now, feet on the floor. If you can do it with your feet off the floor, then do it with your feet off the floor. Plus, later, if you want to add weights to it, you could do that too. All we're going to do is turn side to side. So without leaning back too far, I'm going to try and sit up. That's the action here, is sitting up and then turning hand to hand, side to side. Side, side. Side to side. Side to side. Another 15 seconds. Full range of motion, do it slowly. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, good job, you guys. We're going to finish off here in a child's pose position. Come onto your hands and knees. Let's take the knees wide, toes to touch behind you. Sink back where you set the butt a little bit back towards your heels. And just reach the arms forward a little bit. Keep the elbows off the floor. Let's just stretch this out. So we're not collapsing into full position. Just get a nice little stretch here. We crunch those abs quite a bit. Now we're going to stretch them. Bring your weight forward. Press your hips forward as you roll the chest up, shoulders back. Go right into the abs here for a stretch. And then you go back, sit again, keep the arms out in front. Catch a couple of breaths, and then forward again, stretch out the abs. Press the pelvis forward, pull that chest up. Nice job, you guys. And last one. And good stuff. All righty. That is it for today, gang. Another day done.